Our next presenter is Emanuelle Delmas-Glass, Collections Data Manager, Yale Center for British Art. Emanuelle is currently the Collections Data Manager at the Yale Center, where she started her work in 2006 as the Collections Catalog Specialist. In her current role, she oversees the creation of and access to the museum's collections metadata. She plays the lead role in ensuring its intellectual and technical integrity. She identifies and implements new data standards and technologies to disseminate to as wide an audience as possible, as well as to support the scholarly mission of the Center. She previously worked at Williams College Museum of Art and the Louvre Museum. She has a Master of Art History from Virginia Commonwealth University. Her presentation today will be on linked open data in support of the museum's educational and research mission. Please help me welcome Emanuelle Delmas-Glass.
Thank you, Dr. King. It's been an amazing 2 days. I've learned so much. I just wish I could say another day or so, but big disclaimer, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a curator, and I'm not a conservator. I work for the CIA. And that's usually a nice icebreaker, yes. But basically, my role as a technologist at the museum, I do a lot of translating between humans and machines. And that's going to be basically the silver lining of this talk today. And it's going to be interesting because we don't hear technology and museum, two words very often in the same sentence. And actually, on the slide up here, that dates from 2014 from Maxwell Anderson, who was then the director of the Dallas Museum of Art. You can tell he's kind of urging on us to be careful about saying the word technology in the museum. And there are some good reasons for that. Technology can be expensive. Technology can be a little bit complicated. I mean, there are lots of things that create tensions within the museum. And I think it can happen that technology can be seen as a distracting force from the core activities of the museum, right? Where the physical stewardship of the collection is really the principal activity. And actually, beyond the financial constraint on museum budget, it seems to me that there's been some tensions between the role of museum in their physical environment and their networked or digital environment, right? It really took some time to dissipate the myth that having an active online presence was not detrimental to the visit traffic to the brick and mortar institutions. So today, many museums have very useful online collections catalogs, and I want to congratulate Diana for her amazing and her team's amazing job on the new Gilcrease Museum website. But by and large, the core activities of museums still largely revolves around the physical stewardship of those collections, right? It seems like once a museum has its collections catalog online, there's this notion that this is it. The museum has done all it could to reach out to audiences and disseminate its collection information to the world. And again, I'm not thinking about the Gilcrease because, as we've learned before, it's a very active partner in this cutting-edge linked open data project, which is the American Art Collaborative. But more on that in a minute. So it seems to me that for data management, technology is still largely seen by most cultural heritage institutions as something nice to have, but not critical. So today my goal is to demonstrate the exact opposite. My argument is that technology is not only supports museums in their core mission, including collection, interpretation, and research, And we've seen over the last few days that many good examples of how technology can actually help develop research. But that technology is also necessary to the relevance of cultural heritage institutions in our digital world. So let me expand a little bit on that notion of relevance in this context for a minute. Museums want to be the hubs of activity for their audience, and that means making their digital images and data easily accessible to researchers. And today, since web-based scholarship is a fact of life, if museums don't share their collection information and images easily, then they kind of stop being sources of reference for scholars, right? In other words, if museums put obstacles between their digital resources, be they images or data, they're just no longer going to be utilized by users who will find other means to get at these resources. So in essence, these museums' collections will no longer attract scholars. And of course, I would posit that a collection that's no longer the subject of research is no longer relevant, right? This is the crux of this, which is probably a situation that threatens even the raison d'être, the core fabric of the museum. So with this in mind, I'm going to concentrate on how to use technology to be relevant to users beyond the museum's websites. I'll be talking about how technology is critical for the efficient dissemination of collection data and images, which speaks to the point of audience. I'll also be talking about how technology can ensure that the nuanced scholarship crafted by experts is faithfully represented in the digital environment, which speaks to the point of knowledge representation in the digital forum. So to demonstrate this argument, I'll invoke two specific Yale Center for British Art research projects supported by technology. One is a conservation research project, and the other one is a cataloging initiative. So let me start with the example of a research project currently ongoing at the center that focuses on determining the attribution of two panel paintings. The project is called Information to Restoration. And here you see a gallery of the museum when we had a show concentrating on these paintings back in 2012. So the museum is currently undertaking an in-depth study of 29 of our paintings, which dates from around 1560 to 1630. And they're actually the earliest part of the museum's collection. This little core of 29 paintings are kind of the beginning of it. The project is a cross-departmental collaboration at the museum, and the two investigators are our associate conservator of paintings and postdoctoral research associate in the Collections Information and Access Department. An important aspect of their research is the question of authorship, which is really kind of frustrated by the fact that very few artists at this time signed their work. And that's kind of problematized further by the distinct lack of supporting secondary documentary records from the period. So in order to kind of overcome these difficulties, the project team uses a combination of traditional art historical methods and connoisseurship with the very latest in analytical techniques from conservation science. So here you see a range of different images, cross-section, sample, X-ray, a number of things that the two PIs rely on. And actually, they rely heavily on the collation, organization, and comparison of that visual material. from a variety of different collections, both public and private. So their work consists at looking very carefully at our 29 paintings, of course, but they compare with a lot of other tutor panel paintings out there, discovering little, not so well-known private collections and doing all types of technical imagery on them. So they've really brought together a large number of photographs in normal light, X-ray, infrared, as well as photomicrographs and cross-sections of paint samples. Now, all know that cultural heritage institutions have been digitizing their collections for many years. But digital collaboration between scholars has remained a difficult proposition. One of the main obstacles related to scalable image-based research has been the lack of interoperability between image silos, right? Which, at the end of the day, really has a damaging effect on the development of scholarship. If a scholar cannot get an image, that's crucial to his study, that's going to be a problem. What else do our users want? Well, we know that they want to be able to manipulate images easily. And we also know they want to collaborate with colleagues from across the globe. And Diana talked a little bit about that, how users want things to look magical, right? They want, yeah. And they should. So this is just what IIIF, or the International Image Interoperability Framework, sets out to solve. And I'll say IIIF from now on as well. So IIIF really provides uniform access to a network of distributed image repositories. Its goal is to provide an unprecedented level of uniform and rich access to image-based resources hosted around the world through a set of common protocols we call APIs. And those common protocols are defined collaboratively to support interoperability between image repositories. IIIF also aims to develop, cultivate, and document shared technologies, such as image servers and web clients to provide a world-class user experience in viewing, comparing, manipulating, and annotating images. We're going to look very quickly at what those common protocols are. But from the get-go, you'll see here that it consists of, IIIF consists of 4 APIs so far. 2 of these, the Image API and the Presentation API, have just gone through their second major revision. They're both 2.1, while the Search API has just been released, and the Authentication API is still under review by the committee prior to its initial release. And each API really addresses a specific set of functionality required for effective image interoperability. So the Image API provides a method for requesting from a server a whole or part of an image with transformations of scale, rotation, color, quality, and all of that is done through a URL. So that's web-based, right? The Presentation API exposes just enough information that the image is associated with the object so that the users understand what they're looking at. And the Presentation API relies heavily on a couple of data models that work well in the semantic web of data. They're called shared canvas and open annotation. The Presentation API also allows to talk about the sequences in which the images of the object should be viewed from the page or the portion of the page, all the way up to collection of the book, all those pages put together. Search API is a little bit of a misnomer. It's really there to provide a way to search through annotations that are associated with the image of the object. So when a searcher works with an image, can make some annotations, and that's what we're talking about when we talk about search APIs. Searching through that text, that content basically that the users overlay on top of the images. This is not talking about finding IIIF assets yet. There will be something like this, but it won't be called that. It will be something different. Finally, there is the candidate authentication API. And that's really specifying how a data provider can serve access to control IIIF content and direct users to institutional login services. So at the end of the day, what does IIIF do for users? Well, it offers an open framework for organizations to publish their image-based resources, to be viewed, cited, annotated, and more by any compatible image viewing application, such as Mirador or the Universal Viewer. And I'm throwing names of web-based image viewers at you. They'll come back later in my talk. I am showing you what our IIIF manifests look like. And you can see how they are collections of images per object, so recto, verso, framed, unframed, natural light, X-ray, and all that. This is a nice comparison of two of our genre paintings here, and I'm going to be brave here and try and do a live demo. So bear with me for a minute, where I will be showing you. There we go. So this is a page in my online collections catalog. You can see through, below the image here, the IIIF logo. So I've opened this already. I have opened the web-based image viewer. That's the Mirador instance I was talking about a minute ago. And I'm going to say, show me this image with something that comes from the Bodleian digital library. We talked about the Bodleian a couple of times already in the last couple of days. Live demos, never trust them. And of course, I cannot see my screen. So the only thing I'm going to do, I'm going to grab the IIIF logo from the Bodleian, and I'm going to drag it up here with my shucks, okay, didn't work. Let me try again. I should be able to drag it right there. Oh, for some reason, I cannot drop the image. I don't think it's not letting me do that. But I should be able to drag the image. Okay, I'm going to give it 2 more minutes because that's kind of crucial. What I can do is demonstrate with more images from the center. See what happens. I've done this a million times in the question. All right, so I'll put this in a different tab. Maybe the network is a bit slow. I think that's the problem because I should see a IIIF logo down here. You know, I'll show it in the same image, but that's kind of silly. But basically, I should have the Boolean image right here. I think it has to do with the browser. Oh well, too bad. Sorry about that. Taking this back to my how do I go back to my PowerPoint? We've rehearsed this. Except we lost my PowerPoint. I'm back at the beginning. Okay, go back. Let's pretend we saw the Boolean image right nicely into the mirror. Trust me, it worked. The point was really to kind of prove that I didn't have to go up any one of the Boolean. They don't even know I was, going to use one of the images with the kind of slide in there. So that's really the function for the users, where you don't really have to worry about any of the infrastructure underneath the image silos. So this was kind of a 10,000-foot view of the technology for IIIF. And if you're interested in hearing more, then there's a nice little conference coming up in June at the Vatican that will be hopefully releasing kind of some big announcements. So June, we'll be there. So what does a IIIF community look like? Actually, it's an interesting structure. It's really kind of community-based. The development of the APIs is re-engineered and managed by a group of developers from the core founding members. They have regular phone calls, and they love to get feedback from users, to keep moving forward with the development. It has several working groups. You see the manuscripts, newspapers, and the museums working group. There's one that's in development for 3D, and those working groups have regular phone calls as well, so that's usually once a month. Who is part of the IIIF organization? Well, in June 2015, the core founding members were 11. There were 11 in scope, which is really crucial here, right? To generate interesting research, you really need good quality data to start with, right? And the CDOC term was really designed to appropriately represent complex knowledge without dumbing it down, which happens quite often when one sends a data set to aggregators. They take your data, run away, and never update it, and they're very happy with it. So this is a different take on how to represent knowledge in the web. And I'm going to show just this one slide about the CRM, I promise. And we're looking at the high-level structure, right, of the CRM here. And I'm just showing this to tie back to what we've heard a lot over the last 2 days, which is this notion of narrative. I think everybody who spoke here has actually said that word. And so this is really what the CRM does well. instead of focusing on the object description, the physical description, the CRM really focuses on the events that constitute the life of an object, from its production to its conservation, to its exhibition, to its publication. I mean, you can go on and on, right? So now you can see how, to those events, we can tie people, right? Actors. You can link to other things, and you can link to places, and you can link to dates. And so now we're looking at a network of knowledge. We're not looking at rows and columns anymore, which are hard to deal with and understand. We're really talking about making explicit all those rules that we have in our data structures that are really kind of implicit at best, probably not even very consistent. So a totally different take on what we do with our knowledge for the web. And this is what the American Art Collaborative is setting out to do, which is a very, very brave initiative. And its motivation really is just that. It's the realization that we have created data silos that just don't speak to each other very well. And again, the consequence is that if a scholar is doing research on Thomas Moran, he or she will need to do it 14 times differently in every single one of our websites, which is really not that great. So by proposing to map all of its partners' data to a common CRM semantic framework, the AAC, the American Art Collaborative Consortium, is really positioning itself as a one-stop shop, as well as a wonderful discovery environment where to can uncover previously undocumented relationships between, again, those people, those objects, times, and all across multiple collections. Yeah, saying a lot about those narratives again. So why do we need big data? Well, it's really clear that the traditional technology that are relational databases are not really appropriate to share museum content or knowledge. It's really, our current technologies are really kind of limiting user engagement and hindering research in a very serious way. So museums should really take advantage of the web's ability to bring knowledge together. It's clear that it's a real request from users, right? They want more data, they want richer data, and they want to discover those connections that traverse our data sets very easily. And being part of this connected digital corpus has a direct impact on the relevance of our institutions. I want to say it has a relevance on the usefulness of knowledge in the semantic web. I call this also my doom and gloom talk, but no, I kind of pointed to kind of a couple of solutions for this. And actually, I'd like to make this almost kind of a call for action. It really kind of hinges on content creators, curators, but also kind of technologies to work together to craft what this semantic web can be. So just to recap, it's my final slide. My museum's mission is to have people enjoy our collections and stimulate the study of rich art. And because of multiple constraints, we knew that we could not develop our own local solutions. So rather we turn towards image and web technology developed by international communities. And along the way, we've learned a few things, right? We've learned that it's fine to relinquish control. We've got to fall out of love with our human readable websites and also take care of our data, machine readable data. We've learned that the methodology that museums use for sharing their digital resources with the network is actually critical. By kind of isolating our resources, we've also isolated our users. So we need to use technology in a smarter way. what else? And the key word here, I guess, is interoperability. We really need to find solutions to play well with others and facilitate the transfer of knowledge from one institution to the next. Thank you.